You will hear a lecture. After listening to the lecture, please retell what you have just heard from the lecture in your own words. You will have 40 seconds to give your response.
Most of what the general public knows about daily life in ancient Rome comes from art, architecture and literature, which tell us more about the elites, especially the goings-on of the emperors. But how much do we know of the lives of ordinary Romans? Did they have a voice? Apart, that is, from what we can gather from graffiti. The usual picture is one of time spent at festivals, baths and typically the games. However, for many Romans, terrible living conditions, poverty, debt and the chance of being sold into slavery at any moment, that is, if they weren't slaves already, left no time or energy for such forms of entertainment, or for any interest in politics for that matter. Indeed, after the death of Augustus, executive power was taken from the elected assemblies of the Roman people. Now it was the emperor's job to look after the people, and his generosity often depended on the mood and behaviour of the people, on how often and how violently they protested and rioted. One example would be Claudius ensuring a steady grain supply, even in winter, after rioters pelted him with stale crusts of bread. There is an anecdote about Hadrian. While touring the provinces, an old lady approached him with a complaint. He made excuses and tried to get away. She said that if he wouldn't give her a hearing, he shouldn't be emperor. She got her hearing.
The lecture is about daily life in ancient Rome. The speaker says that what we know is mostly about the aristocracy, but we know much less about the lives of ordinary people and how much say they had politically and socially. Most people lived very difficult lives. The speaker points out that it was the duty of the emperor to take care of ordinary people. He gives the examples of Claudius and Hadrian, both of whom had to be reminded of their duty.
What's tested? The purpose of this section is to assess your ability to make an oral presentation based on information taken from an academic lecture. Both speaking and listening skills are assessed. You will listen to a lecture on an academic topic and then retell what you have heard in your own words. The lectures are each between 60 and 90 seconds long. There are either 3 or 4 lectures. The number will depend on which form of the PTE academic you are given. There will always be at least 3 lectures. You will have 40 seconds to retell each lecture. Study the picture if there is one. It will give you a general idea about the context of the lecture. From the picture, try to predict what the lecture will be about. You will have 3 seconds to get ready for the start of the lecture. Take notes. Use the erasable noteboard booklet and pen provided. Do not try to write down every word you hear. Unless you are able to write quickly and accurately, you will probably fall behind and miss important information. Instead, focus on key words. Writing quickly is a key skill to master. Use abbreviations whenever possible. Ignore articles, example, a and the, unless they are necessary. Omitting the vowels from words is one way to increase writing speed. Key words include names, numbers, dates, times, and words and phrases that are stressed. Words and phrases that are repeated are usually central to the main idea. Focus on understanding the main idea of the lecture and the key points that support it. If the speaker draws a conclusion, be sure you have identified it. Try to identify the overall purpose of the lecture. Listen for clues to the speaker's attitude, opinion, or stance. Be aware of the speaker's tone of voice and delivery, and try to detect any emotions that are being conveyed. When the lecture ends, you will have approximately 10 seconds to review your notes. Use this time to organize what you will say. When you hear the tone, begin speaking. You will have 40 seconds to complete the task. While you are speaking, if you lose your train of thought, or find yourself at a loss for words, do not remain silent. The microphone turns off automatically if there is no sound for 3 seconds. If you need to pause to think or to check your notes, use pause fillers such as let me see, and so on. Saying something anything is better than saying nothing because once the microphone turns off, you cannot turn it on again.